Today we are going to discuss every eliminated player in the NEL and which club they should have gone. This is a part 2 to the first part where I talked about players who were eliminated from BlueLock going to NEL teams like Ryosuke Kira and Asahi Naohaya. So if you haven't watched that, please go to the pinned comment and watch that first. But if you want to just watch this part, that's totally fine as well. If you want to keep in touch with me and other BlueLock fans, you can join my Discord server. That'll be also a pinned comment too. Also, I want to give a big shout out to RAITO, who colored the Nagi in the NEL jersey you're going to see later, and our Discord mod, Kat, for coloring Hiiragi. She's a human being and I am broke, so I couldn't afford for her to color the rest of the eliminated characters, so sorry in advance. Anyways, on to the video. England. Its league is known for its prodigious speed and running abilities. Goals are stolen by brute force and physical capabilities can reign supreme. Its nickname being League of Breathless Entertainment. Second, Spain. Its league values technique and creativity. An ordinary goal won't satisfy its audience. This is a place where a spirit of playfulness and creativity are brought together in harmony. Third, Italy. In this league, they are fond of craftiness and tactics in soccer. They have a history of winning games 1-0. With the defensive park the bus strategy, if you watch football, you would know the term AC Milan. A new system of being born here synthesizes overwhelming individual skill with organizational power. Fourth, France. Players in this league must have a strong sense of leadership, chasing a bag. Great supporting role characters like Nanase can have the skills to lead a system like Rin and Shido did. Last, Germany. This league is based on a thorough understanding that a game of football is won by scoring more goals. It's exceedingly rational and is usually fixated on a victorious game. First, let's start off with the characters who didn't even get bids. Saramadara. For him, it's really hard as we have never seen him touch the ball as he was fodder in the third selection. However, he likes surfing and seems like a guy who follows the flow or tide of the water, similar to Otoya. So I would put him in FC Parcha because he seems like a person who would just get through the vibes, and he would also have the best chance of getting minutes there since he didn't in Munchen. Tsunzaki. Honestly, he seems like a cooler design of Raichi, and his eye designs gives me assassin eye vibes, so I think he could have been a strong asset at left back for Ubers as he gives defensive vibes, but that's not the team I'm going to put him in, as his etymology in his first name Taiga means large river and his last name Tsunzaki means break or split. Considering river is a flow type of going wherever careless and the creativeness of breaking through the defense or splitting the defense apart, I believe he should have gone to FC Barcha. Tetsu Sakura. Yeah, bro, you're just a bum. You are not gonna get any playing time in the NEL, so Barcha is good for you to rot in the bench. Like, my guy, you had 0 feats in the second selection. That's crazy work. Yuzu Haruhiko. Like, since he never interacted with Nagi in any shape or form, there is no chance we get to see him in the BlueLock story or what he's made of. However, I believe through his etymology, we can get an idea about his character. His given name, Haruhiko, means springboard, which means he could be the type that is very flexible and can jump like a spring. So with that, I think that can translate somewhat well in FC Barcha, as that is the only club he has a chance of getting minutes on. And Doji Akira. Bro has one of the top 5 best BlueLock designs. Fight me, I dare you, I will win. However, I believe Munchen City is a good team for him, as Chris would immediately take notice of him for his flamboyant appearance, and his name Akira phonetically is Kira, which is sparking and glistening. So I believe the best team for him is Munchen City, as Chris can show him ways to shine on the field that he hasn't even realized himself. And I don't know a good position for him, but Chris will figure that out. And if he doesn't touch the pitch, I'm sure Chris and him would be a fantastic modeling duo. Neru Tepe. Now, honestly, I know Munchen would be a very good choice for him, as Neru has the abilities and skills to really relate to this team in terms of the speed aspect, and Chris would be able to help him improve his defensive specs for speed. But the problem is Nagi rail factor. It would make everyone suffer and lose games, and because of that, he wouldn't get many chances to shine even if he is on the pitch. So I believe Nero wouldn't even make top 23 on Munchen City, as they don't need to pass through Nero to even score goals. And lastly, to state my case, Munchen is a speed and rush attack team, not really a speed and rush defensive team. Their bidders are more likely to look at the attackers rather than the defenders. Now for Nero, the best team for him to go to is actually a team that would allow him to use his lightning reflex defensive capabilities to the fullest of its potential. being Ubers. And since they will actually win games and can potentially beat Bastard Munchen with his help, his bid will surely get him to the top 23. As with help from IQ and Sendo, I'm sure he plays starting from week 2, as he will disassemble Barcha and work from there. Uber's players, for those who all got minutes, secured top 23 positions, so I can see adding Nero being a very good positive for Snuffy and the Uber's team, and he can really work with Nero to create tactics to make this defensive nightmare even scarier defensive nightmare, providing defensive support to RU and IQ when needed. Now for people who actually did get bids. 36th place, Gurumi Igarashi. Now he is tied with Nishioka for last, but we will start with Igarashi first. He is a player who didn't really shine in the BlueLock program, but has one skill set that would be overpowered in the defensive club, being Ubers. Here I could see Snuffy using him as a right back because of his militia foul, which would allow him to basically foul bait the opponents, and with the insanely stacked defense of Ubers, just his mere presence would give his teammates enough time to regroup. Imagine passing through IQ or Lorenzo just to get foul baited by Igaguri. Yeah, that would be insanely annoying. I could see an insane amount of ways Igaguri can get annoying. He really chose Bastard Munchen because he thought Japanese people were suited to live there. Bro, your country got nuked by an atomic bomb from the US. Now you want to go to a country who was a big part of the same World War II? Yeah, anyways, he should have gone to Ubers. Buddha be praised. Other 36th place, Hajime Nishioka. Look, I made a video about him and his theoretical injury, and I'm still going to run by that till death's door, and his growth hormonal problems, which could be similar to Messi in real life. So Munchen City is a team that he was supposed to go to, as he could learn how to get a perfect body to try and beat those conditions. So I do believe it was actually good for him. But for the sake of the video, if there was a team he was supposed to go to and get a better chance of surviving to the top 23, it would have been FC Barca, for the sole reason he is based off of Messi, and Messi is a Barcelona legend, and his basic vibes speak of creativity. So I think that's all, but that's all speculation. But I really think Munchen was the best for him for the theoretical injury speculation. But if he was to go to any other club, it would have been FC Barca. 35th place, Teru Kitsunezato, Pokemon Kid. Well, honestly, he fails with every club, and he only got to play one game with FC Barca, and he is a winger, so Munchen wouldn't have space for him to do anything. And with the Nagi rail situation, I doubt he does well, and even with minutes. His buddy Chou didn't throw on PXG, so Kitsunezato would get a 5 million bid at best. So I believe him joining PXG would actually be the best for him because Chou is there. So the two of them working together could actually get them a bid of at least 8 million, especially with the bunch of lineups that Loki was just playing around with. 33rd place, Itsuki Wakatsuki. Raccoon Boy. Yeah, we have no feats for him, and he was already on the easiest team to get minutes for, being FC Barca, and he would do worse in Munchen City because of that fast-paced environment, and he does not give speedy vibes. However, there is a team with 3 fodder defenders, being PXG. I could see him taking one of their spots to get more games in which makes a bigger impact for him, so he still wouldn't make the top 23, but he would get a bigger bid in PXG as a defender. 33rd place as well, Cho Kento, Japanese Joe Goldberg. Same reason for Kitsunezato to move to PXG. I would send him to Barca to team up with Kitsunezato in Spain. Only problem this time around is that PXG's interval of 15-minute swaps isn't there, so he may not even get any playing time in the first place because there is so many wingers as if. So Kitsunezato even getting playing time was insane work in the first place. So he may even get a worse bid. What am I even doing? But at least he would get to be with his boy one last time. 32nd place, Shijuku Haiji, Alien Boy. We know he and Nishioka teamed up together in the first selection, so maybe the two of them together in training could become stronger, so I could see him at least getting a bid in Munchen City. 31st place, Aiki Himizu, the genius of lies. Now we only have feats on him from episode Nagi, but I'm going to put him on Ubers. He was able to press Chiguri really well in chapter 24 of episode Nagi, forcing a turnover. He used this light detector to read Chiguri's feints. He has pretty good passing as it's shown in chapter 26. In chapter 27, we learn he is pretty good at dribbling feints as well as he fakes out Chiguri. So with Ubers, he would be able to put his mind reading to a good defensive use, especially when in 1v1 battles down the flank, and could send key passes to progress a play, and not to mention he has his own feints as well if he is going to move up the flank too. 30th place, Junichi Wanima. I'm sending him to PXG. Honestly, I don't know what position he has played for Manshine City, so it's hard to tell what he can do without his brother. But the only other club that has a good chance of him making a good game is PXG for 2 games and FC Barca for 2 games as well. But I believe PXG is the better choice, as when racking up wins, it would boost his bid rather than racking up losses with FC Barca, and bro needs that bid for the brother. He's got a brother to feed. 29th place, Reiji Hiiragi. I was so disappointed bro placed this low. Finally, we have someone I can confidently recommend for Bastion Munchen, as that team is so overpowered to the point where it's like, would they even get playing time if I put them there? I believe we have analyzed his character well enough to the point where it's clear he is a talented learner who thrives off of rational logic, which correlates really well with Bastion Munchen's philosophy. I feel like he could learn a lot by being with Isagi about believing in your allies and not just controlling them through data, like how Nagi mentions in chapter 21. I believe this club would help him evolve immensely, although he wouldn't survive here, as he would be playing the only position I can see him do, which is central defensive midfielder, and Raichu would take over his position for sure, and sadly enough, he would still get eliminated with this, but it would help him evolve as a person, as Isagi is a big gift that everyone should be around with at least one time in their life to grow, whether it be mentally or physically. If he was to have the best chance of surviving, I would have put him in FC Barca, as his mobile trapping would thrive immediately with the link-up plays with Bacho and Otoya. His fun playing style would get him a spot on the team really fast, which means he would get more time to shine and get a chance to be the top 23. But sadly enough, I think Bastion Munchen is the best team for him to grow as a person. In terms of making the top 23 and dancing on his grave, it's FC Barca. 28th place, Miroku Darai. I'm putting him with Ubers. He is already fundamentally used to Italy's Catenaccio playstyle similar to Nero. His skill set really wouldn't help him get as big of a bid, as even with a win against Manchester City, his bid barely went up against the most useless team. But the problem is, Ubers is a defensive team. Barca isn't a defensive team. So they're looking at the attackers really for Barca and Manchester. Meanwhile, for Ubers, defense really counts in that club compared to other clubs, as that's the people bidders are looking for. So I believe in a defensive-oriented club, the right skill set would come more in handy, not just for his success rate, but also for the bidders as well. 27th place, Kazuma Niou. I believe the best place for him to go is the worst defensive team in the NEL, PXG. While he could have gone to Ubers, the problem is the team is already stacked defensively with IQ, RU, and Lorenzo. So there is no way he's starting for any of those guys, and Shiguma couldn't even get a playing time because of these 3 players. So there was no chance he was going to get to play. Unless Lorenzo didn't play the first game, and Niou would have been able to take a place from there. But at the same time, it's like, come on, you could play 4 games for PXG instead of having to play 1 for Ubers. He has a good physical body, and it didn't work out for him in PXG since defenders weren't switched between Rin and Shido's. So in both systems, I'm pretty sure he would still be on. With a better team in PXG that has no good defenders, they will reignite their real-life counterparts and give him a higher bid than he should. Not 60 million like Shido, but a higher than 20 million. Good enough for him to survive, because PXG likes that money. 26th place, Hayate. I'm sending him to Ubers. I believe that's the best chance of him making the top 23. He already knows how to work a Catenaccio system and could give Nico advice on how to be a better CDM. He was one of the best players for his team in FC Barca. Actually, he was the 3rd best player in his team for FC Barca. And while working with IQ and Sendo, to be fair, he would really get highly motivated to play with his amigos and play harder, especially with his captain Aiku giving him good orders. Some of his tactics ensure players would get enough dinner on their plates to get the bids needed to survive, which happened for the 6 Ubers players who did play. So I believe there's a strong chance, with him already getting 20 million with Barca, that he would get good enough bid to survive the NEL if he joined Ubers, as he's already accustomed to their philosophy and some of their best players. 25th place, Ayoshi Tokimitsu. I'm sending him to Ubers. I already made a TikTok about why he should go there, and another one on why he shouldn't go to Manchester City, but I believe I have to elaborate here for those who know, follow my TikTok. Tokimitsu, although fitting the stamina beast role Manchester City would love, wouldn't be able to succeed, and would do even more poorly in Manchester than PXG. However, he would actually be able to play all 4 games, as the 20-day training would give him more time to prepare. He wouldn't be able to use it much, especially when Isagi awakens Metavision, as we saw in the PXG vs Basel Munchen game, when Metavision users were really in play or high speedsters were really in play, we didn't see Tokimitsu be able to do anything in that final NEL game. So it'll be a similar occasion here once Isagi awakens Metavision, as Tokimitsu won't be able to keep up with all that. This team derives off of Nagi. It's a system that's bound to make Nagi succeed. So when Nagi and Ryo starts working together, everyone else is going to suffer because of that. And that will include Tokimitsu losing all these NEL games, which would be bad for his mental health, especially with Tokimitsu trying to help on offense more than defense, as indicated by Loki. His failure to dispossess Corona shows how ineffective he would be in the BM game, and when Nagi and Ryo only start to use each other for the rest of the 3 games, everyone else would proceed to die besides Ryo and Chiguri, making the top 23 just like in canon. So in this canon, I would still see Ryo and Chiguri making the top 23, with Tokimitsu even getting a worse bit than he did in PXG for not winning a single game. Now with Ubers, he would be a more effective player, as in the rubber band effect, Snuffy would allow him to be able to work well with others. And I could see him actually being the central defensive midfielder and Nico being a central midfielder. So Nico would be able to work more on the attack and Tokimitsu would just be a defensive pressure beast and someone who can really help lead the effective counter if need be. So his body really effectively embodies the team's philosophy. It's only if Tokimitsu can put his brain cells together and work under Snuffy's designs perfectly. And with Tokimitsu's elite ball knowledge, I'm pretty sure he can. 24th place, Seishuo Nagi. Now for people who have been watching my videos, you know I already selected FC Barca for Nagi, but honestly I've changed it to Munchen City for a similar reason to why Hiiragi should go to Basel Munchen. So I am picking Nagi to Barca, but I'll tell you why him going to Munchen City was the best choice he could have made. Nagi is a highly talented player who had a good campaign before Munchen City, who didn't discipline himself well enough by scoring a goal that he couldn't replicate, and the world would expect him to do again. He beat Isagi only thanks to being with Ryo. When he is with Ryo, he is satisfied, and his only goal that hadn't been satisfied was beating Isagi, and which he finally did. The good thing is he did get eliminated while being with Ryo, which showed all of Nagi's weaknesses in one bowl, putting him in his origin point 0-0 graph point. If Nagi was to join any other team, he would have qualified as a top 23 easily, as he wouldn't have scored such an insane goal to beat Isagi, and while he would still have lackluster performances, people wouldn't expect him to replicate such an insane goal if he didn't make the insane goal in the first place. And he wouldn't have to make an insane goal, as Isagi wouldn't be able to push him that far, as the only reason that happened was because Ryo helped Nagi score a goal way past his imagination. Without Ryo being there, even if someone helps him score an insane goal, I doubt he pulls out a 5 volley, especially if he's on FC Barca, because FC Barca is the team that makes Isagi the weakest, because that's the weakest Isagi Nagi could have faced. So he wouldn't have to score an insane goals. The other teams being PXG and Ubers are debatable, because Charles could easily send Nagi an easy pass for him to score a pretty nice goal. And with Ubers, it's pretty hard to see how Nagi would fit in with Bao being the leader, but I could see Nagi stealing a goal off of one of Bao's failed shots. So Nagi wouldn't really have to go for a 5 volley performance to score against Isagi and any of the other clubs, which is why it's perfect that Nagi did it in Munchen with Ryo. So Ego could expose all his flaws, so Nagi can know that his time in BlueLock is actually over. And now Nagi needs to find his love from football for scratch without Ryo's help or anyone's help. So now, if he was to go to FC Barca, I could see him having a chance to recover his ego because of Bachira and Navino showing him why soccer is fun again. The main problem is if he does qualify, he will get too comfortable with Ryo again when the time comes, meaning he would rely on him if he couldn't handle a problem, as he wouldn't have experienced failure with Ryo if he had gone to another club, which is why Munchen City was the perfect choice. He received multiple warnings from Chris and Aggie and never listened to Ego, and he gave him a 4K reality check. And without going to Munchen, he never gets exposed, and he wouldn't grow from that. If he goes to any other team in the NEL, he would be exposed against a strong team in the U20 World Cup, which would be harder to come back from than the NEL. While I believe he would come back from any situation, depending when it happened, I believe the faster you know your flaws, the faster you can fix them. and the more time you can spend on fixing them. So with him getting eliminated in the NEL, he has more time to fix his flaws as he figured out his flaws faster. Now for if he was in FC Bartra, he would have total freedom to be the player he wants to be, but I'm making a what if Nagi went to FC Bartra video pretty soon, so I'm gonna save that topic for then. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. My question for this video is, which of these characters other than Nagi got snubbed from the top 23 the most? Stay blessed, and until the next video, Tsuki out.